What if the secrets of the universe were encoded in a forgotten language, waiting for science to decode them? Since time immemorial, humanity has looked to the sky in search of answers. Ancient civilizations like Egypt didn't just observe the stars, they listened to the echoes of a hidden wisdom passed down by beings who, according to their accounts, came from higher planes. Among these mythical beings, one name has transcended the ages and remains alive in esoteric and philosophical imagination. Thoth, described as the god of wisdom, writing, mathematics, and magic, Thoth is said to have left humanity a hidden legacy, the enigmatic Emerald Tablets. These texts, wrapped in hermetic symbols, speak of realities beyond the veil, of laws that govern both the visible and the invisible world, and of a knowledge so powerful it could only be accessed by those prepared to understand it. But what if these laws are not just mystical metaphors? What if, behind the symbolic language, lie truths that modern science is only now beginning to confirm? Today, neuroscientists speak of the mind as the builder of reality. Physicists theorize about the universe as a vibrational symphony. Studies on consciousness point to the existence of patterns that echo the teachings of these ancient tablets. This video is an invitation to cross over. We will explore, under a new light, the 6 hidden pillars found in the teachings attributed to Thoth, but not as dogmas, rather as maps for awakening, tools that can still, even today, transform the way we think, feel, and create our lives. Because perhaps what we call mysticism is simply science, delayed by millennia. Get ready. The journey begins now. Let's dive into the eternal principles that can be applied today. You don't see the world as it is, but as you are. This phrase, echoed by philosophers, mystics, and scientists throughout history, encapsulates one of the most profound truths revealed in the Emerald Tablets and in the Hermetic principle of mentalism. The universe is mental. Everything that exists originates in the mind. Not just the human mind, but a universal, creative mind that permeates all things. According to the writings attributed to Thoth, the reality we perceive is a projection, an illusion with structure. Not illusory in the sense of being false, but in the sense of being malleable, interpretive, dependent on the consciousness that observes it. Modern science, interestingly, is beginning to reach similar conclusions. Neuroscientists like Anil Seth claim that we do not experience the world directly, but rather a simulation created by our brains. Every color, sound, texture, and emotion we perceive is, in fact, a reconstruction, a controlled hallucination shaped by expectations, memories, and internal patterns. Carl Friston, through his Bayesian brain theory, proposes that the brain functions as a prediction machine. It does not react to the world, it anticipates it. This means that what we call reality is, in large part, a projection of our internal state filtering the external world. In other words, the mind doesn't just interpret, it creates. When we align these concepts with Hermetic teachings, we realize we are rediscovering something ancient. The mental universe of the tablets can be interpreted through the lens of neuroscience as a subjective reality shaped by consciousness. Practical applications. This vision is not just philosophical. It has direct and powerful implications for everyday life. Cognitive psychology and mental reprogramming. If our thoughts shape perceived reality, then changing mental patterns is essential to transforming life. Cognitive behavioral psychology already applies this by modifying dysfunctional beliefs, altering the way individuals experience the world. Creative visualization. Studies in neuroplasticity show that the brain responds to visualization as if it were experiencing the real event. Visualizing goals with emotional intensity activates the same neural networks as action. This isn't magic, it's applied biology. Self-image and neuroplasticity. Our self-image defines how we act, feel, and interact. If we see ourselves as weak, incapable, or limited, the brain reinforces those circuits. But if we cultivate an image of strength, confidence, and clarity, neural pathways restructure. That's neuroplasticity, and it's also internal alchemy. A new paradigm. When we understand that the world out there is shaped by what's in here, we stop being victims of circumstance and become conscious creators of reality. Thoth, in declaring that the mind is the matrix of all, wasn't handing us a riddle. He was offering a key, a tool of creation. And science, centuries later, is beginning to validate this ancient truth through experiments, measurements, and computational models. The question is no longer whether the universe is mental. The question is, what are you mentally creating right now? If everything begins in the mind, what happens when you change yours? When you change your frequency, you change your reality. In one of the most symbolic passages of the Emerald Tablets, Thoth declares that nothing is still, everything moves, everything vibrates. This is the principle of vibration, which holds that the entire universe is made of oscillatory patterns, of constant pulses that shape both the visible and invisible realms. Curiously, centuries later, modern physics has come to the same conclusion. The deeper we dive into the fabric of reality, the less solid it appears. Subatomic particles, when observed, behave like waves, frequencies that collapse into matter only when perceived. String theory, for instance, proposes that the fundamental particles of the universe are not fixed points, but vibrating strings, like musical notes on a cosmic scale. Matter, then, would be frozen music. Everything is vibration. The secret language of vibration. Experiments in cymatics reveal something fascinating. When sound waves are applied to a surface covered with sand or liquid, highly complex geometric patterns emerge. The more harmonious the frequency, the more symmetrical the pattern becomes. It's as if sound carries an invisible structural intelligence, capable of shaping form. This same intelligence seems to govern nature as well. The spiral of a shell, the arrangement of leaves, the shape of a galaxy, all obey repeating vibrational patterns. The universe vibrates, and its forms are merely visible echoes of these invisible pulses. Emotions are frequencies, but the principle of vibration goes beyond the physical. It also operates in the realm of emotion. The HeartMath Institute, for example, has shown that emotional states like gratitude and compassion generate heart coherence, a harmonious vibrational pattern that affects not only the body but also the energetic fields surrounding the individual. Our heart has its own electromagnetic field, and that field interacts with the environment, with other people, and even with living systems at a distance. When we feel fear or anger, our frequency drops. When we connect with love and presence, it rises. Have you ever walked into a room and felt a strange vibe without knowing why? Science is beginning to explain what the ancients always knew. We emit frequencies, and frequencies don't lie. Practical applications. Sound therapy and vibrational meditation. Specific sound frequencies can induce states of relaxation, healing, and expanded awareness. Instruments like Tibetan bowls, gongs, or even the human voice have been used for millennia to attune the body's energy field. Energetic architecture. Space is harmonized using golden ratios, sacred geometry, and ambient sound can raise the vibrational state of those who inhabit them. Homes vibrate too, and they resonate with the people who live there. Music as medicine. Studies show that certain musical frequencies activate areas of the brain related to memory, creativity, and emotion. Listening to or creating music with intention can become a practice of healing, expression, and deep connection with the subtle field. Language and emotional frequency. Words vibrate too. Emotions embedded in the voice, the tone, rhythm, and intention carry an energy that often impacts more than the literal content. To speak is to vibrate, and to vibrate is to create. The universe is not made of things. It's made of frequencies in relationship. If everything vibrates, what is your frequency right now? And more importantly, which one do you choose to tune into? You are a reflection of the cosmos, and the cosmos reflects you. Among the most fascinating principles found in the Emerald Tablets is the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. This maxim is not merely poetic. It describes a fractal structure of the universe, where patterns repeat at different scales, from the microscopic to the cosmic. If we look closely, we'll notice that the universe is self-similar. The branching of lightning resembles the structure of a tree. The neural networks of the brain visually mirror the cosmic web formed by galaxies. The pattern of seashells follows the same proportion as galactic spirals. This repetition of shapes, known as fractals, is studied today across various scientific disciplines. And the more advanced our instruments of measurement become, the more the universe reveals its mathematical poetry. The mathematics of fractals, popularized by the work of Benoit Mandelbrot, shows that seemingly chaotic patterns hold an implicit order. The shapes of nature are not random, they are manifestations of simple formulas repeated endlessly, with slight variations. Our hearts beat in fractal patterns. Our lungs branch like trees. Our DNA coils into self-similar helical structures. It's as if life, in all its expressions, follows a universal signature, a divine fingerprint replicated across dimensions. Ancient cultures had an intuitive understanding of this correspondence. That's why they built temples, pyramids, and monuments based on sacred geometric proportions, such as the golden ratio 1.618. They knew that form carries power, and that imitating the cosmos was a way to align the human microcosm with the divine macrocosm. Today, complex systems theory and chaos theory help explain how simple structures can give rise to highly organized patterns, whether in the behavior of an ecosystem, the formation of clouds, or the development of a civilization. What Thoth may have suggested is that there is a universal code of organization, and it exists both in the stars and in our eyes. Systemic psychology and pattern repetition. The principle of correspondence also manifests in human relationships. Emotional and behavioral patterns repeat across families, cultures, and societies. Understanding these psychic fractals allows us to break cycles and heal wounds that stretch across generations. Self-observation for diagnosis. By observing the outside, we can learn about the inside. External conflicts often reflect internal imbalances that have not yet been acknowledged. This perspective opens doors to deep therapeutic practices that treat the individual as part of a dynamic whole. Ecosystemic spirituality. If everything is connected, then caring for the planet is caring for ourselves. This integrative awareness invites us to a living spirituality, one that recognizes the sacred in all forms, from the cell to the galaxy. The universe is a mirror, and you are the reflected image. What do you see when you look through it? And more importantly, what does the universe see when it looks through you? Time doesn't pass. It pulses. Thoth, in his Emerald Tablets, states that time is not linear, but rather circular, multidimensional, fluid. The past, present, and future coexist within an eternal spiral of events that reflect and unfold according to the level of consciousness of the one observing them. This view may seem esoteric until we take a closer look at what modern physics is beginning to reveal. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time and space are inseparable. They form a single fabric, space-time. And within this fabric, time is not a straight line. It is malleable, influenced by gravity and speed. In other words, time is not absolute. It is relative. Imagine two people, one on a planet with intense gravity, the other drifting in deep space. For the first, time moves more slowly. For the second, it flows faster. Each lives in their own version of time, though they coexist in the same universe. This raises the question, is time something that exists outside of us, or is it a reflection of our state of consciousness? Quantum physics goes further. It suggests that events can be entangled even when separated in time. This is called temporal entanglement. Some experiments indicate that decisions made in the present can influence the behavior of particles in the past. It sounds like science fiction, but it's cutting-edge science. This kind of nonlinearity also appears in experiences reported by people who've had near-death experiences, NDEs. Many describe encounters with deceased relatives, life reviews occurring within seconds, and the perception of time as something non-existent. These accounts are now being studied by doctors, psychologists, and physicists who are beginning to seriously consider the possibility that consciousness is not confined to the brain or to time. Practical applications: therapeutic regression and subconscious reprogramming. If time is fluid, then old memories can be accessed, reframed, and healed in the present. Techniques such as hypnotherapy, EMDR, and regression therapy allow us to travel through the mind's time and transform deeply rooted traumas. Expansion of temporal perception. Practices like deep meditation, altered states of consciousness, natural or induced, or experiences with entheogens show that it's possible to step outside of linear time. In these states, seconds can feel like hours, and insights emerge as flashes of totality. Conscious decision-making. By accessing an expanded state of awareness, we can make decisions based not only on the past or present, but on potential futures. It's like tuning the mind into a network of possibilities, where intuition guides with clarity and wisdom. You are not a straight line. You are a spiral, infinite, conscious, pulsing. Time is a language, and your consciousness is what chooses how to read it. You are not the body. You only inhabit it for a cycle. In the depths of the Emerald Tablets, Thoth reveals a concept that transcends civilizations and spiritual traditions. Death is not the end, it is merely a change of state. He speaks of the halls of Amenti, a space between worlds where the soul rests, learns, and prepares for rebirth. This ancient view is increasingly echoed in modern accounts, especially those of people who have had near-death experiences, NDEs. And, surprisingly, science is beginning to take these experiences seriously. Hundreds of thousands of people around the world report similar experiences during NDEs. Feelings of peace, out-of-body sensations, clinical observation of their own resuscitation, encounters with deceased loved ones, intense light, life reviews, and a deep certainty that consciousness continues. Institutions such as the University of Virginia and the work of Dr. Bruce Greyson investigate these accounts with seriousness. Their conclusions challenge the boundaries of traditional neuroscience. How can consciousness exist when the brain is inactive? The answer may lie at a new frontier: quantum consciousness. Scientists Stuart Hameroff and Roger Penrose propose that consciousness is not generated by the brain, but amplified by it, like a radio tuning into an invisible frequency. According to their theory, the mind operates through microtubules within brain cells, which interface with the quantum field of the universe. Thus, when the body dies, consciousness does not disappear. It returns to the field of origin, like a drop merging back into the ocean. This view not only resonates with mystical traditions, but also offers a bridge between spirituality and science. Practical applications: conscious grieving and non-dogmatic spirituality. Understanding death as a transition changes everything. The pain of loss still exists, but it takes on new meaning. The possibility of symbolic connection arises, a continuity through memory, through energy, and through the love that never fades. Transpersonal psychology and past life therapies. This branch of psychology works with the idea that consciousness is continuous, and that traumas from other lives or non-ordinary states of awareness can impact the present. Deep therapeutic processes emerge from this integrative approach. Living with purpose now. When we understand that death is not extinction, but passage, life becomes more precious. Small actions become seeds of something greater. Fear transforms into creative momentum. Urgency gives way to presence. Life is a breath, but consciousness is the eternal wind that flows through every body. To die is not to disappear. It is to remember who you truly are. The universe doesn't speak in words, it sings in frequencies. In ancient traditions, long before the invention of the alphabet, sound was sacred. Across many cultures, the world was believed to be created through vibration. The word, the Om, the logos. In every tradition, we find a version of this fundamental idea. Reality is born from the word, from intentional sonic vibration. In the Emerald Tablets, Thoth describes the use of the voice as a tool for creation and energetic manipulation. Sounds, for him, are not merely a means of communication, they are instruments of power. Every word, every tone, is a command that acts upon the vibrational field of existence. Cymatics, once again, offers a bridge between mysticism and physics. When specific sounds are emitted over a surface covered with particles, like sand or water, complex geometric forms emerge. Words such as love or hate, when spoken with intention, produce visibly different patterns. But it's not just matter that responds to sound. The human body vibrates too, literally. Our vocal cords generate frequencies that resonate through our bones, muscles, and organs. Speaking is not merely producing sound, it is vibrating your own body and the surrounding space with what you feel. Studies in neurolinguistics show that the words we use directly influence our emotions, decisions, and even our immune system. Negative repetitions, "I'm stupid, nothing ever works out," create neural pathways of self-sabotage. Meanwhile, positive affirmations, when emotionally charged and repeated, reprogram the subconscious. Ancient cultures knew, to speak is to create. Vedic mantras, shamanic chants, whispered prayers, all are examples of using sound as a bridge between the invisible and the visible. When we repeat a mantra, we are not merely vocalizing, we are tuning our consciousness to a specific frequency. The sound penetrates deep layers of the mind, quiets the ego, and reconnects the self to the whole. The same is true for affirmations. When spoken with presence and intention, they are not empty phrases. They are organizing frequencies that guide thoughts, emotions, and actions. Practical applications. Conscious use of language in daily life. The way we speak to others, and especially to ourselves, shapes the reality we experience. Observing the language we use is an act of everyday alchemy. Words are seeds. What are you planting? Mantras and sound meditations. Practices involving vocal repetition, even simple ones like chanting Om, have proven effects on the brain, reducing activity in the amygdala, the fear center, and enhancing connection with the limbic system, higher emotions. Sound is a bridge to the now. Avoiding negative programming. Avoiding phrases like, I never get it right, or I'm unlucky, isn't cheap self-help, it's vibrational intelligence. Our language reflects our mental frequency and acts as a vehicle to shift it. To speak is to vibrate. To vibrate is to move energy. And to move energy is to create worlds. The universe is sound, and your voice is an extension of it. Thoth never hid the secret, he left it in plain sight, encoded in what you feel, think, and vibrate every day. Throughout this journey, we explored 6 pillars of ancient wisdom, a wisdom that, far from being buried in the past, lives in every conscious breath, in every choice made with intention, in every moment where mind and heart align with what is true. We've seen that the mind is the matrix of reality, and our thoughts shape the world we perceive. That everything vibrates, and by shifting our frequency, we change our experience. That the universe is fractal, and what happens outside mirrors what pulses within. That time is an illusion, and consciousness is the thread that weaves past, present, and future. That death is merely a change of form, not an end. And that the word is a creative instrument, sound that shapes both matter and soul. Thoth didn't hand us ready-made truths. He gave us keys. Keys that only work when we are willing to open them from within. It's easy to get lost in the search for formulas, proofs, external evidence. But perhaps the true secret of the tablets is this. There is no separation between the mystical and the scientific, only different languages trying to describe the same thing. Physics speaks of waves. Esotericism speaks of vibration. Neuroscience speaks of plasticity. Hermeticism speaks of mental creation. Spirituality speaks of the soul. Science, slowly, begins to speak of non-local consciousness. In a world overwhelmed by information, true wisdom is not what you understand, it's what you embody. So the final question is not, what did you learn? But rather, what will you live from this point forward? Because knowledge is information, but wisdom is activation. It's when understanding descends from the mind and becomes action, vibration, living presence. The emerald was never a stone. It was a mirror. And now that you've seen the reflection, who do you choose to become?